We're talking about the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
There's been an uproar with, the fact that, well, one of the hair people in the hair department has claimed that her locks cost at least $150,000.
Yikes.
And then there's been an uproar, right? Especially from the people who were not even happy with the idea of having a black Little Mermaid in the first place. But then, in addition to that, the fact that they're focused on this is how much money that was spent on her hair, when in production things cost a lot of money, right? From my experience in production as a filmmaker for 17, almost 18, yeah, 18 years, yeah, I would say that just the VFX in that movie cost tens of millions of
Yeah.
dollars with the hair VFX, let alone the fact that they spent 150,000 on her hair. You're watching Brand Video Pro. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you join my email list. The link is down below. Join my email list. Like, follow, subscribe, all of those things. I'm coming out with a join now button, a membership button on this channel. So stay tuned for that. Joyce, nice to have you on.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell us, yes, of course. So tell us, who are you? Tell us everything. Tell us who you are.
My name is Joyce Jacob. I am a celebrity makeup artist. I am based in Lagos, Nigeria. I have a makeup outlet here, a beauty bar. We do classes, we do production work, bridal, red carpet, we do everything, you name it.
And you just had a big show on Netflix that you were the head of hair and makeup, the hair and makeup department.
Yes.
Tell us
So
about
we
it.
just wrapped up, well, not just wrapped up, but it just premiered Young, Famous, and African Season 2. Myself, I was the director of hair and makeup for the entire season, for the entire cast. And honestly, it was a great experience working with them and Netflix. And I can't wait until you guys check it out, if you haven't already.
Absolutely. Okay, so I do want to have you come and talk about Young, Famous, and African, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
So can you talk to me about your views, heading the, hair and makeup department on a show on Netflix? Talk to me about how realistic that is and where you see some of the costing going.
Okay, so in regards to the costing for a production, you are correct. It is extremely expensive. And The Little Mermaid, let's not forget, it was a huge production. There was a lot of money behind this. There was a machine behind this movie. Let's just be honest about that. When it comes to Netflix productions, when it comes to costing, it literally varies based on the show, the popularity, how many seasons there's been. There's so many things that really go into the budget. And with Netflix, they release more money as the show grows in popularity. Now, when it comes to The Little Mermaid, everybody knows about The Little Mermaid. We all watched this when we were much younger, and there was so much anticipation leading up until this release with Chloe Bailey. So honestly, would I want to spend that kind of money on a wig? Honestly, I would not. That's just a ridiculous amount of money. I feel like there's just so much more money in the world to spend that kind of money on a wig.
But hear me out though, because with those locks, it's not a wig. They decided that they weren't going to use a wig with Chloe, so it's all crafted, right?
Ariel's glam for me was something that was really an exciting and fresh moment for me to go through, because I have the original version of her in my head, and I was like always wondering, like, what will they do? But the fact that Rob really wanted to champion me and my natural hair and keeping it was something that was really exciting for me, because I had multiple looks.
Yeah.
And even the person I'm having on, she charges like $900 to get, like, I think it's waterfall locks, just to get your locks done, right?
Yeah.
And she crafts it from scratch also. But with the Little Mermaid, they had about 4 people monitoring her locks.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm
Or-
not
or
even
creating
trying
it.
to go against that. So my thing is, I honestly do think it's a lot of money, but I was going to also say that it is a major production, and there's a lot of money behind The Little Mermaid. And if they needed to spend that much on the wig to make it look right, I'm for it at the end of the day.
Because the thing is, like, I'm not saying that, I don't think that it's you're paying for I don't think that you're necessarily paying for a wig, because it's not a wig,
You're
right?
right.
It's
A lot of people have.
you're paying for the service of creating the hair, right?
Yeah.
So like these, because like when you just look at the hair, she has all sorts of textures in the hair.
Length also
She has
matters a lot. It was a very
right. So we have length, we have textures, we have colors, because even just getting a colorist,
Yeah.
I'm sure you know, costs a lot of money. So getting that perfectly with the locks, all of that, and you have 4 like lock artists that are working on her hair, right? So when I broke it down, that's about 37,000 each that they're getting paid. Because you have to also think about, you're in production, you're thinking about consistency throughout the movie.
It was a great few weeks.
Matching, because like the parts where in the scenes where she was underwater, fair enough, she didn't have her locks out, she was covered. But when she was in land, which was the rest of the movie, there's a consistency that has to match the VFX.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a consistency every day, scene by scene. So is 37,000 for a budget of $250 million? You're paying each of them, let's say, $37,000. Is that really that much money if you're thinking about the length of time they're taking to shoot?
So in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much money. And you made some amazing points. It's not just about the wig. It's about the workmanship that went into the wig. Like you said, the length, the fact that several people have to work on this wig. So when you look at it that way, is it really that much money? No, it is not. But could we not get some full locks and some expression hair, and still kind of like, turn that thing out for much less? Of course. But
but hold on though.
And that's what matters.
To say something about that, because again, you worked in production, right? You're the head of the hair and makeup department, and there are things that you as the head of that department, you have to meet the budget.
Yeah.
But you also want to have the room to be creative,
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
But we're looking at Disney, the biggest creative company in the world, where they give their creatives room to just innovate.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not living, because like at the same time,
important. So, I'm just kind of being funny about it, but let's just be real. Could we not have gone to, I don't know, find some other stylist in LA, gave them, I don't know, $10,000, and we said, pull this off? The truth is that we could have pulled off that wig for much less. That is the truth. But I
think you could also have pulled off the film for much less. You could have pulled off the film for much less also. Like let's at the end of the day, I think this is one of the most expensive Disney films, like 250 million. So they could have done the film for 100 million, right? So if we want to make that argument too, but let's also think about the fact that there's also this additional sort of like, because of like white supremacy and the right wing, the racism, that people don't want the Little Mermaid to be black. There's this extra effort to ensure that she meets this or appeases these, I don't want to call them racist, but you know what I'm saying, to appease these people, to like, just so that they will, they'll just be like, okay, well, she was still beautiful in it, and I wasn't even distracted by her hair, because they're still nitpicking about the color of her hair, because they can't say any. So think about it, right? There's a respectability politics around black women's hair, and this sort of like attention that they pay to black women's hair, because think about it, why isn't it okay for us to walk around with our natural hair? Because of white supremacy has said we have to cater, or we have to be presentable. Our natural hair is not acceptable, and we have to be presentable. So we
disagree.
Okay, but hear me though. Let me land this point, right? So there's this idea that like our hair as it is, the afro that we have, is not acceptable to walk around with, but a white woman's hair, look at Donald Trump's hair, that's acceptable, right? But so our hair is not acceptable as it is, so we end up as black people or black women specifically, who spend money, we spend our income that we already make less than, we spend that on keeping our hair respectable in the white context. So there are a lot of schools that kids are not allowed to wear certain hairstyles. They monitor what black women are allowed to wear with their hair. So I think that a lot of white supremacy is monitoring how we present in the world. But I want to hear your take. You said you don't agree with that.
Yeah, you're definitely making great points, and I believe in what you're saying. There is aspects of truth in there, but I feel like in 2023, I do feel like there's been a big shift. I honestly do feel that way. I'm not saying that white supremacy doesn't exist. It does. But I truly believe that now, ethnic women, we can wear our hair however we want. If we don't want extensions, we can probably wear our natural locks, our natural hair, our braids. We can do that. We can wear it now. And I really feel like this conversation for me is extremely complex. I can't lie. I don't think it's only rooted in white supremacy. I feel like, Blacks, us as a people, we didn't accept our own hair because of the difficulty in combing it, the tangles you would have to deal with. I honestly feel like we're a part of the conversation as well. I don't know.
Well, that's just at the end of the day, like, I mean, this is not really the channel that I go into white supremacy, but the notion that we didn't accept our hair, we were combing our hair, is an import, right? So when you think about when white supremacy was created 500 years ago, it's an import, right? So we are okay with our hair the way it is before that, right? But it's an import of this is what your hair has to be like to be acceptable, presentable in the world, right? So I hear what you're saying, but there's also a difference in, because you live in Nigeria, and what you said is very powerful, because even in Nigeria, that's when I had my hair natural. That's when I took off I just walked around with my hair, because that's acceptable in Nigeria. It's not acceptable in the West, to the effect that, I don't know if you looked at the comment section.
It's acceptable.
Well, we do, but let me just land though. If we look at the comment section, just even about this spending $150,000 on her hair, a lot of the comments from white people, and not just white people, non-black people, even black people too, is that her hair, they're looking for something. Her hair is not red, because black people don't naturally have red hair. Yeah. Her hair is not even red, it's a poo brown. They're looking for something to nitpick. So I can understand why Disney will say, okay, let us. Because Disney, at the end of the day, they're thinking about numbers. You know this. Like when you're doing Young African and Famous, Netflix is looking for numbers, right? Netflix is saying, let's spend the most amount of money, or let's get the most bang for our buck and appease our audience. The Little Mermaid is not a movie for any culture. It's a universal thing that has thrived with sort of like the Western, how America has exported itself around the world. Yeah. It's thrived in that way. So right now, diverting from that mission by having a black person, and you're still trying to export it around the world to all these other cultures that are not open to Africans. Like I heard in Korea, people were not trying to watch the movie because, she's black. There are other countries, but the movie still did very well, right? The movie still did very well.
However, overseas, the launch has received attention for so-called review bombing in areas such as France, Korea, and Germany. This is largely believed to be the work of internet trolls. While the Rob Marshall-directed update has a 95% verified audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, film ratings websites overseas, including IMDb in the UK, Brazil, and Mexico, as well as in France, posted advisories, during the rollout when negative user reviews appeared in questionable abundance. On IMDb, a warning reads now, our rating mechanism has detected unusual voting activity on this title. To preserve the reliability of our rating system, an alternate weighting calculation has been applied. That note appears on the US and Canadian sites, as well as those for the UK, Brazil, and Mexico. And Germany, Movie Pilot showed a rating of 0.7 out of 10 before the release, far lower than any comp title. Traction increased throughout the weekend. It moved it to 5, all right? And the list goes on. Korea's SBS News reported heading into the weekend that the film had been subject to ratings terrorism in an article whose title Korean entertainment website ZapZ translated to backlash against Black Mermaid.
But there is this factor that blackness is not exported globally. As even though like you're familiar with it in Nigeria, you don't experience this because you're in Nigeria, right? but globally there is a pushback to having a black Little Mermaid.
No, trust me, I'm aware of, I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. I've lived in the United States until I was about 22 years old. So I'm very familiar with what's happening in the US. I guess for me, it's just a different outlook. I know that um, I know all this exists, unfortunately, but my attitude towards it is just very different. And I just want,
Okay.
maybe that courage is based off the fact that I'm based in Nigeria, and I see people wearing their hair however they want. And I actually am seeing a lot of natural hair girls in the US. In fact, I feel like that natural hair journey that started in the West, actually. And then I feel like Nigerians were now also proud to wear their natural hair, because the truth is we're heavily influenced by anything happening in the West.
What I would say to that is, I think perhaps in the upper class in Nigeria,
Okay, so
that's
then-
the case. But I don't agree with like the average person.
Okay, so
because the average person has always
person. Yes,
Yeah.
not the average. The
Right.
average girl, they're wearing their natural hair regardless of
Yeah.
anything. But yes,
Yeah.
that comment is more tailored to a specific group of people.
Yeah,
that are more,
but then there is an essence of within capitalism. There's an essence of the more money you have, the more proximity to whiteness that you have. So I can understand how the upper class was emulating, the American standard, or the Black American, like the top tier of Black Americans, like the Beyoncés and stuff. Right? Sure, fair enough. I can see that.
So I hear you and I agree with you, but I guess what my add to this conversation would be is, as women of color, as ethnic women, I just want us to kind of like look past these issues. I know there are real issues, but I want us to just present ourselves to the world how we want, confidently. And I'm so happy that regardless of the backlash of, the Little Mermaid being a Black girl, I'm so happy that Disney still went ahead with it. And I'm so pleased with how Chloe Bailey represented us. She did an amazing job, and she was, in my opinion, the best pick for the job. And that
So you're saying basically, yeah, there's this backlash around the color of her hair and the respectability around her hair, but we should ignore it.
Yes.
And be proud in our skin as Black people, and wear our hair in its natural form.
Yeah.
And celebrate that they spent whatever they needed to spend in on her hair.
Yes, and that's, if you please. I have on a beautiful curly wig right now, and I love my hair, and I'm natural as well. If I decide to wear my natural hair, hey, I'm gonna do it confidently. If I want to throw on a wig, I'm gonna throw on a wig. So my thing is, whatever it is you like, however you like yourself to be proud about it. You know what I mean? You want to wear your curls, your locks, whatever the case is, be proud about it and do it confidently. And we are all beautiful. And I truly feel like if we just kind of ignore, the whole white supremacy, conversations, and we do what we want, trust me, people will catch on, and we're going to be seen as beautiful, confident women. So
I love that.
yeah, so let me not say that it's not real. I know it's real, but almost who cares what people think?
Right, fair enough. Ooh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree with that. Then, so let's go back to this budget of $150,000 for the hair. So break it down to me, because you did your budget for Netflix, right? You guys did a budget for that.
Yeah.
Did you oversee that? So talk to me about that process. Breaking down the budget and how you then allocated it.
Okay, so
because the film was the show was very fabulous. Like, everything about it, you could see they spent so much more money on hair and makeup, on all these things. So I imagine that you guys have a lot going on there.
yeah, so I mean, I can't talk specific numbers, but obviously when the opportunity fell into my lap, and when the budget and the costing and all of that was pretty much broken down to me, I had to just be very honest and realistic with how can I use this budget the best, right? And also feel like, my hairstylist and my makeup artists are all happy. So pretty much I had to break down the budget into different categories. So there was a separate budget for the hair pieces, the tools, stuff like that. And then there was a different fee for the actual, hair styling and then the maintenance of some of the wigs and all of that. So I literally had to break down different budgets for those areas. And then when it came down to the makeup, there was a separate budget for, some of the products we had to use, maybe some special effects stuff or some like just some supplemental items. And then obviously there was a separate cost for like the applications and, like for me, the best way that I was able to pull it off, managing let me not say managing, but directing the budgets, would basically be by having different categories and knowing that, okay, I allocated X amount of money for each category that is necessary to make the show a success in the hair and makeup realm.
Can you suggest as to what percentage of the total budget the hair and makeup department was?
A certain percentage.
Yeah, so like for example, the total budget of the Little Mermaid was $250 million. So what percentage is like normal for them to spend on?
I'm not privy to those numbers. I'm really not. But I think the way I've answered the question is honestly like the best way I can answer it in regards to costing and how I was able to do the budgeting and the break and all of that.
So what would you like if you were based on your experience in, Young, Famous, and African, what would you then say on a budget of $250 million whereby 30% of that budget goes into marketing, and then you have this massive, huge post-production budget, which is probably maybe even 50% of the budget. So with the rest of it for shooting, what would you say is reasonable?
Honestly, I can't say, but what I can say is that the budget was definitely bigger and better than season 1. And just to add to that is with Netflix, this is like the standard recipe. Season 1, the budget is probably just a fair budget. And then as the show progresses with popularity, and all of that.
Well, that's every studio. That's every studio. They spend more and more when there's proof, when there's an audience, etc. And with Little Mermaid, the audience was massive. The audience was massive already, waiting for it. I guess. And then based on the results of the previous things like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, they know that okay, we're gonna spend more. We're gonna spend more. We're gonna spend more.
Of course. So that's all I can say is that it was definitely, obviously, a better budget. I think everyone saw how amazing the show looked, how the visuals were super clean and just luxurious, and it was really befitting of African Young and Famous. But I honestly can't go into specific numbers. I
understand that.
I don't even want the tea, but I wish, but I really can't.
I know Netflix is really strict on that. I know that.
Yeah.
But I guess the best way to say this is, what would you estimate the budget for hair was with the Little Mermaid?
With the Little Mermaid, I mean, if they're spending $150,000 on a wig, despite the fact that yes, that comes with workmanship and other fees associated with it, I'm gonna say the glam budget had to have been at least 10 to $12 million. That's honestly what I think, because again, if they had $150,000 to go to one wig, and let's not forget the other looks and the other extras and the other people that are a part of the movie that also needs hair and makeup. I mean, we're definitely looking at least $10 to $12 million. And it might even exceed that, to be honest, because again, most of this film was shot in the U.S., right?
Mm-hmm.
And the U.S.
Well, no, I think they shot it around. I know they shot in Italy. I saw that in the credits. So they shot it around the world. I know that.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, I don't know about other countries, but
I think Canada also.
Yeah, Canada, United States. To be honest, most of these countries, they don't play with labor laws. So, think about how many people were involved in the glam, from makeup artists to hairstylists, and I'm even sure they probably threw in nail techs in there as well. And special effects. Special effects is prosthetic, very expensive. So now that I think about it, it could be up to $20 million in total.
And but it makes sense though, right? Do you think it's money well spent?
Of course, I think so. And
because that's only about 10% of the budget.
yeah, it's definitely money well spent for sure. Again, this is Disney. This was a worldwide premiere that happened with The Little Mermaid. They have
and they have the money, and we have to understand how important beauty is, in terms of having a Disney princess.
Yes.
How much that is such an important expense.
And she's
for
been looking amazing on the red carpet. I know sometimes they also throw in press releases in there. I mean, if they're literally paying for her glam for the entirety of the project, definitely 20 million, if not more than that.
And then let's also acknowledge the fact that they're selling action figures or Barbie dolls that are Little Mermaid. So this is a marketing tool that leads to so many more revenue streams from, merchandise. Even the movies sales have done the number one movie right now, in the world.
The merchandise might, a hairstylist, the glam is probably involved in some of these things, because these Barbie dolls still have makeup, they still have hair, that inspirations and all of that. It's literally a machine. So and when you think about how much they profit, what they're spending is nothing.
It's nothing, absolutely nothing
in comparison to what they're actually profiting. So
so funny enough, I know you said we should ignore the the haters, but I can't help but to react to some of the comments that I've been seeing. So there's a lot of vigilance on what this movie is going to do, right? The guy that played Aladdin claimed that, he didn't think it was going to make up to $1 billion.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the movie has done better than both Aladdin and and Beauty and the Beast in their opening weekends. It did better than Beauty and the Beast, worldwide. It did better than Aladdin domestically, and it's just really on track to. So Beauty and the Beast made 1.2 billion. Aladdin made a 1 point something billion. So do you see this movie? Despite all the racism that we've discussed, she now has she's the number one, or this is the first movie that has a black lead, the highest grossing film that has had a black female lead, I believe. That's it. So do you think that she's going to make that billion mark?
I think so, for sure. I most definitely believe she's going to make that mark. And we're rooting for her, and she deserves to make that mark. The movie was amazing. I was able to watch it. She looked amazing. Her performance in the film was amazing. She absolutely deserves to make that 1 billion mark.
All right. Thank you so much, Joyce.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to coming back sometime soon.
Absolutely. We'll talk about Young, Famous, and African.
Yay, for sure.
All right.
Alrighty. Thanks, Kanem. Bye.
Thanks. You're watching Brand Video Pro. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you join my email list. The link is down below. Join my email list. Like, follow, subscribe, all of those things. I'm coming out with a Join Now button, a membership button on this channel. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. In fact, if you guys want me to have a members only, and I want to put some perks, leave a comment down below. Let me know what perks you would like. I definitely want to make some exclusive, information-based content for you guys, documentaries, just exclusive, things in media, sessions, different things. So leave a comment down below. Let me get 50 likes on this video so that I can know that you guys really want that membership button, and not just 50 likes, but also the kind of content that I can make that's exclusive for you guys in my membership groups. Let me know what kind of content you want. Anyway, you're watching Brand Video Pro. I'm your host, Kanem Mo. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.